I'm Amy and this is A-Star Reads, and it's time for my Sunday sum up. So it's been an interesting week, to say the least, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But first I wanted to say that I'm going to be picking my last book for Believathon, and I did finish my middle grades for this past week, so at least I'm up to date. I'm ready to get on to the next middle grade, and then I will be doing 3 book reviews. So I got something finished this week. But before I go into those things, I wanted to mention a few other things. Finals are coming up for me, and so in the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna be very busy, and we're coming up on my 12 Days of Christmas Carol Advent Calendar Challenge thing. And so I am trying to get as much accomplished in the next 2 weeks as possible for school, especially because I'm going out of town next week for Thanksgiving holiday. So because of that, I won't be able to put my Great British Bake Off week 6 video out until the following week. So expect that one come the beginning of December. Sorry to have to hold it off, but it's just the way things are working out right now because I need to work on my TBR, which has to go up next weekend. Also, I may not be able to do a Sunday sum up next weekend as well because of being out of town, and I want to focus on my friends while I'm visiting them. So just bear with me if you don't see too much from me in the next week or so. It's because I'm trying to be prepared for December because I'm excited about December. So the other thing is that if you have not yet joined Bookstara read-alongs, we would love to have you. I know that not everybody wanted to read the Lunar Chronicles, so that you didn't necessarily join for that, but we are planning our next set of read-alongs, and we have decided that we're going to be going with 2 series. We're going to take the top 2 winning series, read one month, and the next month, and kind of go month after month. So if you only want to read one of those series, then you'll join us every other month. But we do have a Discord, and it's the Lunaralong Discord, but we're transitioning it to the Bookstara Read-Alongs Discord. In the announcements, there's a section where you can place your vote for one of the 4 series. And if that doesn't work for you, you don't want to join Discord, send me a message on Instagram, and I will count your vote once we do our final tally. Is there anything else? Oh, as far as my Trash My TBR results video, I have not had time to record that. If you've not had a chance to go check out that video and you'd like to see what books I've put up to be trashed or want to get your opinion on, watch it, my Trash My TBR video. I'll link it up here and down the description box below. So there's still plenty of time to tell me your trash about those books, and I will take that into account when I pick the books that I'll be reading. So I think that's it, and let's go check out my Believathon pick. So I'm excited to see how I'm gonna finish out this wonderful readathon, and I've been having fun reading the middle grades. Okay, so I've got a random number generator, 1 through 30. Click generate, 27. Okay, that's pretty high up there. Let's see what we got for 27. Passed it. Oh, same letter as your name. Okay, interesting. The streets and lanes have turned to rubble. Before your eyes, the words all double. Read a book with a title that starts with the same letter as your name. This can be your first name, your surname, or your username. Oh, okay. That works out. A. All right, so I've made a bit of an executive decision because I have 11 days left in the month, and granted, I got plenty of things to do within those 11 days, but I've been enjoying these middle grades quite a bit. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick a book for the A in my name and a book for the S in my name. So first, for A, as in Amy, I'm going to be picking Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. So I know this is a bind-up of the 2 books, but I'm only going to pick Alice's Adventures in Wonderland for this prompt. So I won't be reading Through the Looking Glass at this time. But Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is 97 pages, so it's about that long. So not bad. And, you know, this is about Alice in Wonderland. And I've never actually read the original story, so I'm really excited to read this. For the letter S, I'm going to go with The 68 Rooms by Marianne Malone, and this is a book that is set in the Art Institute of Chicago. This is really interesting because it actually reminds me a bit of The Borrowers, but also a little bit of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, because This is about these kids that go on this field trip, and there's a main character, I think, but I can't tell her name right off the bat. And there are these things called the Thorn Rooms, and there are 68 of these rooms, and they're miniature rooms of different parts of history. One of the characters, or the main character, actually gets a key so they can be miniaturized and put into these rooms, or go into these rooms. And there may be some magic involved, obviously, and I don't know what actually happens in the rooms, but I'm excited to find out. This is a series, and it got mixed reviews. I saw some people didn't care for it as much as others, but I love history, and I also love museums, and I find the concept of this fascinating, so I'm excited to find out where I stand as far as how much I'll enjoy this, and so that is my choice for S. Okay, so it is November 15th, and I have finished my third book of the month, finally, and it was a middle grade book, Tilly and the Bookwanderers by Anna James. So this was the second book that I picked for Believathon. That was my 5-star prediction, and unfortunately, it wasn't quite right in my prediction. I gave this 3.5 stars. I think it's a good book. I enjoyed it. There were a lot of cute elements to it, and I think Anna James was very clever in the concept she came up with, but it does feel to me like a debut novel. And I think there were elements to this that kind of pulled me out of my enjoyment of it occasionally, and not too bad, but I just had a hard time engaging. And I don't know if that was the dialogue, because the dialogue was a little strange for me, or if I'm just not really in the mood to read middle grade, because I gave The Borrowers 3.5 too. This is about a girl named Tilly, and she is living with her grandparents because her mom disappeared a long time ago. She just disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to her, but she's living with her grandparents who own this bookstore called Paige & Co. She is on holiday break, and during holiday break, she begins to see characters coming out of books, like her favorite characters coming out of books, like Alice from Alice in Wonderland, Anne from Anne of Green Gables. And her friend Oscar across the street's like, oh, these are just imaginary friends. And she's like, no, they're real. All of a sudden, she starts book wandering. And this is where you can actually travel to the places within books. And she takes Oscar, and they begin this adventure of book wandering. So it's a really cute, fun idea. Absolutely very creative, and I enjoyed that element to it a lot. I think that it's whimsical in a lot of ways, but maybe the writing style for me wasn't quite as whimsical as the concept. Like, I wanted a little more fluff to it. I really like the setting so much that I wanted it to be even more cozy, even more magical in a sense. One of the things I really liked that Anna James did was that she had her characters, especially the children characters, work on communication. Like, at sort of an adult level, where they are communicating really well with each other. And I was impressed with that, because I think that that's a good message to be giving to children. Like, you can ask for space if you need it. You can revisit a topic when you have time to feel emotionally comfortable or safe with it. And I think that that was a really important lesson that Anna James was putting in here, because I think communication is something that is hard to teach, and it's hard to work on, especially when you're younger, without having some more of the big life experiences that sort of force us to communicate. But I think Anna James did a really interesting thing here with trying to put across this idea that communication is essential and important, and that your feelings are valid, and that children can decide when they're not prepared for something. So there was some really cool ideas here with that. However, when it came to the actual dialogue in this, it didn't feel very realistic. And I know that this is a fantasy, so obviously there's a lot about this that's not realistic, but I'm talking about the more normal scenes where they're conversing with each other. There were a lot of parts of it that didn't feel realistic, because I couldn't imagine them saying the things that they were saying necessarily. You know, like, good on paper, not as realistic for a conversation among friends, if that makes sense. Just, it didn't feel like it to me. So I think those were the moments where I was kind of pulled out of it a little bit, and I didn't feel as connected. Ultimately, a really good debut novel, and I'm excited to continue on the series because I've heard that it just gets better and better. I know that Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin said, like, the 4th book is one of his favorite books, and so I'm, like, excited to continue on and see the progress of Anna James, because I think she's very clever. I love the ideas of this book, and the setting would be perfect for me if there was a little more detail. Okay, so one thing that I should definitely mention, because I don't have a lot of B-roll, it's been really kind of a strange time up here in Whatcom County. We have had the worst flooding that this area has seen since the 60s. Really, really bad flooding, actually. It affected some of the outer towns up closer to Mount Baker. So like Sumas and Everson and Nooksack got really, really badly flooded. Some of the houses had like 3 to 4 feet of water in them. It's horrifying. And there's a lot of people who are working on cleanup at this point. We live closer to the ocean, so where we live is at the end of the Nooksack River, and so all the rain washes through the Nooksack to the ocean. So at this point, even though all the rain has mostly stopped, we are still struggling with the floods here where I live because it's still continuing to drain out into the ocean, and all the roads surrounding our area have been completely flooded. And so we're kind of a little island at this point, even though we're not living on an island. Yesterday, they let cars go through for a certain period of time during the day, but the flooding was still pretty deep, and they wanted to make sure that the integrity of the roads was still okay. So today, I think, is the first day that they're letting people just go through without a pilot car, and it's been very hairy. Anyways, I just wanted to let you know what's going on in this area. It's a tough time for our area, and I hope that this doesn't become a trend because it's devastating for the community. We're coming out of it. I'm looking forward to going to the library and going shopping and being able to leave my area. So I'm going to try and venture out today, and we'll see how that goes. Anyways, just wanted to give you guys an update because that's been a very focal part of our life this week. I had to miss school twice because I had no way of getting there. So luckily, my professors were very thoughtful about it. I was kind of surprised my college didn't shut down because everywhere else shut down while this flooding was happening, but the university was carrying on. But that's kind of where I'm at the moment. So let's see if I can get off this peninsula today. Yesterday, the 18th of November, I finished my 4th book of the month, and that was Fruits Basket by Natsuki Takaya. This is the first volume in the series, and it's a fairly decent-sized manga, but it goes pretty fast. It took me a while to get into this, so I definitely kept putting it down in the beginning a lot more easily. But once I got to a point where it clicked for me, I couldn't put it down, or at least I got through it much more quickly at that point. Jeez Louise, dude. It's like he's going 16 and 25 mile an hour zone. Sorry. We've got this slow area in front of our house and people insist on going 60 miles an hour through it. So it's just frustrating. Anyways, because we got like dogs and cats that run the streets and kids. Oh yeah, those too. We don't have a lot of kids around here, so that's otherwise I would have put that first. Anyways, okay. I couldn't really get into the structure in the beginning, and it was fairly choppy in the way that it relayed the story, and I wasn't that engaged. And so I was kind of thinking that I wasn't gonna like this story that much, and that I was gonna feel bad because this is one of my best friend Shell's all time, her and her family, it's their favorite series. So I was like, oh no, am I gonna just like this? And it clicks at a certain point, and then it was easy to read. I really, really enjoyed the characters, and I can see that I'm going to enjoy them even more as I go along in the story. There is definitely a certain amount of ridiculousness that comes with how dramatic these characters are, but it becomes charming the more you go into the story. Like, it's not as charming in the very beginning. And then I also realized that Toru Honda, the main character, this is her right here, she has so many personality characteristics and traits that remind me of my friend Elisa, that over and over again I was like, oh, that's Elisa. Oh, Elisa would do that. Oh, that's Elisa. And these are all positive things. Like, it kind of endeared me to this character quite a bit because I just kept thinking about Elisa when I was reading this story and all the situations she was getting into and her interactions with different people. And so I really thought that was fun and absolutely helped for me to get a connection to the characters more. Is there elements to this story that are probably outdated? Yes, because I think this was written in the 90s, and so There are some situations in here that I think are a little problematic for like gender roles and different things like that, but it still was a lot of fun and charming. So the story is about Toru Honda. She's a high schooler, but she's dealt with a lot of trauma and difficult things in her life. She knows this boy in her school named Yuki Soma. He's this gorgeous guy that everybody has feelings for. Yuki and Satori, one of the other Soma family members, finds her living in a tent nearby their estate, and they end up inviting her to live with them. Another member of the Soma family comes, and she discovers their family secret, which is that they are all members of the Chinese zodiac, meaning they are actually the Chinese zodiac because they can turn into the rat, the dog, and then there is one character who is the cat, who traditionally in the story was left out of the zodiac, but he's a big part of this story as well. And it's important that she keeps a secret because nobody knows about this curse that the Soma family has of being the Chinese zodiac. I recommend it, but if you struggle in the beginning, give it a little time, especially if you love manga. It'll probably be easier for you. This is one of my first mangas except from Tokyo Ghoul. Hoping that the series continues going strong for me. Oh, and I don't think I said, I'm gonna give this 4.25 stars, which actually surprised me. I was thinking I was gonna rate it much lower. Okay, so the 19th of November, and I have finished my 5th book of the month, and this is a middle grade graphic novel. This was my Believathon choice for this week, and I finished it very quickly. But it was so fun and so cute, and I just wanted to show you, this is Cad, and I love Cad. He's so cute. His facial expressions, his personality, everything about him is wonderful. And I do love Bee as well. This is little Bee. She is a wonderful character, but Cad stole the show for me. He's everything I ever wanted to be. I love Cad. She's living with her adopted grandfather. He is the pig wizard. Hey, it's editing Amy, and I don't like how I was describing things here, so I'm gonna describe it for you really quickly. Bee's grandfather has an apothecary shop, and she helps him by going out into the woods and collecting all the things that he needs for his different potions or medicines. So at one point, she's climbing up this tree to gather, I don't remember what, sage fell is what it was called. And when she's trying to get back down, she slips and falls. Luckily for her, Cad is nearby and he catches her, and that's how they get to know each other. He comes back with her to the shop. When she gets there, there's a note from her grandfather saying, like, the world is ending or something along those lines, and I had to go. And she's of course frightened because she knows her grandfather's so absent-minded, and she's like, he's gonna get lost. What is he doing? Maybe he's just making all this up. So her and Cad go off in search of her grandfather. And so that's basically how the story goes. Cad saves her life, and he's this really adventurous, excited, positive character, which is perfect for Bee because Bee suffers from a lot of anxiety. And I did like the anxiety representation in this. I thought they did a good job, especially because this is a middle grade. So it was really nice to see them bring that theme out and represent it in a way that is relatable for children. And also, like, Cad never makes her feel bad for her feelings. He just tries to help her see the bigger picture and kind of work through those moments when she's feeling a lot of anxiety. The story is adventurous and fun. It moves along at a good pace. I'm excited to read the next one, which is not out yet, but there's enough going on here that you look forward to the next one. For a middle grade, I'm gonna give this a 4.5 because I think this was really well done. I think kids will love this a lot. I loved it. And even though this is set in a different time, there is a certain level of contemporariness to the writing that would resonate for a lot of younger readers nowadays. So just, there were a lot of things about this that I thought were really well done. And the artwork is beautiful. Why didn't I give it a 5 stars? I didn't feel as close to them as you would probably feel reading this in a novel because you'd get a lot more dialogue and conversation. But the images in this make it so that you can't help but feel endeared to these characters. Okay, so that was my week. As far as what I'm reading right now, the main focus actually is winter. 30 chapters in, a little under 30 chapters in, and this is gonna be amazing. Like, I'm so excited. There's already so much action that's taking place. And people keep saying, oh, just wait. Oh, just wait. I'm like, oh, just wait for what? Because it's already so exciting. So this is the last major book in the Lunar Chronicles. There is a compilation of short stories called Stars Above that comes after this. And there's 2 graphic novels that I'm planning on reading as well that come after this. I've been waiting for this, and it's all been building up to this. So I just cannot wait. 5-star predictions, 5-star predictions. So that's the main one I'm working on. I still have my Secret TBR book that I'm very slowly getting through, not because I'm not enjoying it, just because I've been prioritizing all these other books. and I really want to read it. So I'm like, hopefully in the next week I can get into that a little bit, maybe on the plane. Maybe on the plane when I go to Anchorage. So I'll hopefully have some footage for you of Anchorage, maybe even some moose, because my friend has been seeing a lot of moose up there recently. And I'll share that with you in my next Sunday Sum Up, which won't be next Sunday, but it'll be the following Sunday. I'm also listening to Emma, and I'm about a third of the way through that. Like I said, audiobooks have been a little hard for me lately, just not really in the mood, but I'm enjoying it well enough. I'm enjoying it well enough. So I don't know if it's me or if it's Emma. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see my 12 Days of Christmas Carol Advent Calendar Challenge TBR, which will hopefully be up next weekend. I'm planning on filming it tomorrow. You can see I got a whole bunch of books back there getting ready for this. So I'm really excited, I think. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.